There we go. We are live. I am really looking forward to today's live stream because I am joined by Sarah Stone. Sarah Stone is the founder of the Intentional Living magazine, which is this amazing magazine, actually, that I have 3 copies of at home. Sarah was friendly to send me 3 copies, and my girlfriend absolutely loves them. They look stunning. And today we're going to talk all about how Substack can be like your home base on the internet, pretty much. Because we often at Right Build Scale, we talk about Substack as if it's like a digital magazine. Well, Sarah, you actually have a magazine on
Yeah.
Substack, so I think that's great. Sarah, welcome to the live stream.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's just watching what you're doing, the three of you all together. It just feels like an honor and privilege to be here because I think like you're really leading by example. So I'm excited for the live. It's going to be
Yeah,
great.
me too. And I have to say, it's also a privilege to have you inside the accelerator. It's always fun. We just had a call actually in the accelerator, so we're seeing each other back to back, and I consider that a very good thing.
It's actually a really good thing because I was just saying before the call, I was feeling quite nervous because, it means a lot, and so you can often overthink about what you're going to say, how you're going to do it, and actually overthink what the live conversations are going to be. But then when you're in the community and you're just chatting, and then you're like, oh, let's just go live now. That's the best part of it is that you can just have a really natural conversation like this.
Absolutely. And I believe it's a very special time for you right now because it's your 3-year celebration of the magazine, right?
It really is. Yeah. So I have three versions of the magazine. So I've got them all here. You've got all three that's in
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
But it started well before that. So I was actually using WordPress to publish all of the articles off the back of me launching a book, which was called Live What You Love. And so the book did very well. I got a #1 bestseller with that, which was really well received. And then people were asking me to write more or write for their publications or write for their magazines. And then it very quickly evolved into thinking, actually, I could bring more people together and share their wisdom, knowledge, and expertise and do co-published articles via intentional living. So that's how it all started. And then somebody said, you really need to put this into print. And I love stationery. I love good quality, touching and feeling a physical book of turning the pages. And so that became a natural extension to look into publishing the book. So it's a one-woman business. I write the articles, I do the editing, the physical interviews, and the styling of everything. So to find Substack as a real outlet for where the next chapter of this goes now is so exciting.
I was really surprised, like when I received, like impressed is the better word actually. When I received the copies of the magazine at
Mhm.
home, it was a surprise for my girlfriend. The moment you and I had our first call, I was like, "Oh, my girlfriend's gonna love this. This is exactly what she loves," and it was like a surprise gift to her. So thank you for sending that my way, and she loved it. And she went through the magazine, and I mentioned like this is all run by you. Like you do this all of this, and she was very impressed, and I'm very impressed
Oh.
because you have to wear many different hats, right? You have to be an interviewer, designer, a marketer, a writer, like many different hats to be able to pull this off.
Absolutely, and it's also quite daunting because the first issue we had John Bon Jovi in there, like that an interview with them.
It's a good
Second
start.
interview, yeah, and then second interview we had, it was about they're all themed, so that's the aim of it. I want everything to be timeless. So you'll notice on it that there's no expiry on that because our content and articles have no expiry if it's on a conversation topic. And so first issue was there, and then the next issue they all have a theme of it could be wellness, it could be longevity, it could be, and one of the issues was all around menopause. And so we had Dr. Mary Claire Haver, who is huge in the online space right now, and we had Tamsin Fidel, who did a documentary on it. She was on the cover, and so we were able to have these conversations with showing them a physical magazine and showing them the quality of the articles, and they said yes. And the more recent one, we had Naomi Watts on the cover and Bobby Brown. And I think the words of it is that you don't, if you, I did it in my note today, is like you don't ask, you don't get.
I love that you say that because it's so true. It's so
Mhm.
I always say no is already an answer you have if you don't ask. So if you ask, then if you get a no back, that's an answer you already had in the first place by not asking. So there's
Exactly.
definitely power in asking. Now I'm curious, Sarah, what made you decide to actually choose Substack as a platform to build Intentional Living magazine?
Yeah, that's very interesting because probably about 5 people said to me, "Hey, you should start and look at Substack. That would be great for you." And my honest opinion was not another platform. I'm at capacity. I don't want to just go on with the trend. I want to know that something because the reputation that it had that I'd heard was that it was just an email system. Like
Mm.
you could send an article out to emails. And it wasn't until I saw something on social media and I was like, hold on a minute. So now you can do a podcast. Now you can do live video. Now you can do all of these extra things. And I was just getting very curious. And then I came across you guys, like doing the research of who's rocking it on Substack, and I started to watch Cinnam's YouTube videos. So you were already starting to show up, and then there was other people doing masterclasses, and very similar to what Ellen said. And I was like, I want to go to the place where everybody's learning all this stuff because they are rocking it. And it turns out that you landed in my inbox with a really, really kind message.
And you know what you mentioned, I think very interesting because Substack started as like an email only platform, basically to make your newsletter, running your newsletter easy. But you still had to bring in a lot of like outside traffic from other platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram. Like it was basically here you can run your newsletter, but you have to bring your audience from somewhere else. That's how Substack started. But it really evolved into a platform where now you can turn it into your home base on the internet because there's a lot of discoverability built in with Substack nowadays. A lot of features like notes, like live streaming, guest posting, newsletter recommendations feature that allow you to really build your audience here and run your newsletter here at the same time. And I think that has been a game changer for a lot of people waking up to like, wow, this could be, if I want to, the only platform that I create on without having to be on a bunch of different other platforms. If you don't have an audience there yet, right? Because I always say if you spread yourself too thin, then you're not going to really grow anywhere. Instead, it's, in my opinion, best to really focus on one or two platforms, go all in there. In my experience, doing it now on Substack, and initially for the first 5 years of my online creator career on Medium, that was my main focus, has
Mhm.
always generated the best results. But prior to these changes, like that was not possible on Substack. So it really
So
has
that
a
That was me. That everything you just said there, that was me. And that feeling of my shoulders dropped when I found out that it was going to be a home. And that's why it's great that we're calling this home because I've been searching for a home because when I was back in the UK, I did a community and we built it to 8,000 women on Facebook, but it was on Facebook and then nobody wanted to really be on Facebook and it was going to different outlets and different places. And then here, when you talk about Substack, and ironically, I'd never monetized the magazine. I'd always gifted it. So it was always, I like to give the tagline, I like to zig whilst everyone else is zagging. So I did the structure of the magazine very differently. And it came from me actually gifting the magazine to people instead of them paying me for the magazine. So when we're then thinking, actually this now can now be monetized and there can be subscriptions and you can add more to then it goes beyond what your offer is. You can then offer mini workshops or private interviews with people or whatever, insert your offer there. Really, it was the monetization and the extra facilities or the extra services that you can offer people without doing the extra work, which was so exciting because even just the live videos, how it clips it up into chunks that you can
mm.
then share it onto social media, it was the biggest light bulb moment when it's like, this is it. This is home.
I'm curious actually about your vision for your publication, how to monetize it, right? You mentioned the magazine, it was pretty much a gift for a long time, but now
Yes.
you really, and I see a lot of potential for this to become a big thing, your magazine, like a big brand. What's your vision for, let's say, the next 12 months for monetizing your publication and magazine?
Yeah, so it's really all for me about community because the tagline of the magazine is read it, love it, live it. So the whole thing is that whatever you read, and whether it's the that's it, and whether you read an article on Substack. Like, don't just read it, immerse yourself into it, and then go and live it because there's so many inspirational quotes that are out there and they're fantastic. But if you then don't do anything about it or take the action on it, it will always just stay as it is. And so for my vision is really to build community on taking action on those learnings that you learn. If you hear something great from an expert, if it's even if you just go and then get a health check or you visit a different country that you're inspired by, is to build that trusted community with trusted experts where we're all contributors. We're all either contributing our feedback, we're either contributing some wisdom and learnings, and to grow community in that way to offer more. And so I consider myself a lifelong learner. So I think that if I can continue learning and share what I'm learning and share it what other people are learning, that we can grow together, we can thrive together and really support one another. And my personal Substack is starting from zero because we all start from zero and we're all either starting out or starting over. So if we have this supportive community, that then we do get to do workshops, we get to do education. The monetization comes naturally off the
Mm,
back of that.
yeah, maybe we can zoom in on that. Actually, the fact that you have two publications, and what the differences are between your two publications, and why you decided to go for two instead of one.
Yeah, so I thought the two publications were very important because I'm more than just the magazine. So I've got a background of helping women start out or start over in business, to give them the strategies to create a brand, to actually really help with their visibility, whether it's through branding, whether it's through publishing, whether it's those elements that they might be missing. So I've already got a business outside of that. So the personal publication is really to share my personal story of being in business for the past 20 years and being a solopreneur that's gone through like the war wounds with like the high, the low, the everything in between, to share that actually don't just see a glossy magazine. There's lots that's gone in, lots of failing forward, lots of leaps of faith, lots of trusting the process, lots of needing a community to help get that where it goes. And so my personal Substack is doing that element of everything. And then I wanted to keep the magazine very separate because I do see that as its own brand, as a for contributors. Like, not that's not just that brand is not going to work with me alone. It's going to work with other contributors who are writing, sharing their wisdom, and that we come through partnerships and collaborations that we're getting that out to more places.
And I think also because usually we recommend sticking with one publication. And I remember on our one-on-one session that we had a few weeks ago, it was like, no, this makes a lot of sense for you to have two publications, right? There's strategic thought behind it. And I think also both of your publications can actually fuel each other, right? Because people can maybe first relate to your story and then check out the magazine. Others maybe start with the magazine, are intrigued by it, and want to learn more about the creator or founder of the magazine, and then that's you and your personal publication.
Yeah.
So I think it's very interesting that you have it set up that way, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I really appreciated that time because being in the accelerator, it's very easy to wait. But I wanted something from the very beginning. So just for full transparency, before I was introduced to you, I'd been on Substack for 1 week, like 1 week. And so within that 1 week, I already I turned the subscriptions on for the magazine and made $300, and I scared myself because I was like, wow, where did that come from? And I was like, I know I need to do this properly because I want to be of service to the intentional living magazine community and those new people that would find me. And I was like, I need to work with specialists. And so that was why we booked the strategy call straight away, because I was like, I have this vision and I think this is going to work. But then to have the three of you behind me going, actually start with this, do that. This is my crazy idea. And then you saying, yes, this can work. It's different, but I can see how you're working. And we said previously as well and I think I said it on one of your lives that you had. I was always previously learning this alone. The first thing I do is go to YouTube and look it up, or Dr. Google, go in there and see things. Thankfully, Sinem showed up in my in in my YouTube, but it's not the same as being one to one with you, that you can really get dive deep. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted those magazines in your hands, so then
Mm.
you can dive deep with me and we can have a really, like, we straight away I've 200 subscribers in the first month, which was like incredible, and I've never had that amount of take up and anything. And I do put that down to being part of your accelerator, and what you bring of the learnings. Even just listening to your question and answer sessions on the lives that you do are just incredible. So thank you for that.
Well, we love having you in the accelerator, Sarah. It's you always bring a lot of like positive energy to the group session. So, and just for context for everyone here who's watching the live stream, Sarah's part of our Substack accelerator. I see we have many of our accelerator members or coaching clients. I see we have Tina. I saw Alan earlier on. I see Claudia as well. So a lot of people we work with in the live stream here. So that's amazing. I'll share the link to our application form. If you're interested in joining the Substack Accelerator, you can apply there. It's application only because we want to make sure the group is a supportive, positive group. Um, we are more than 100 people on the live stream right now, and I see we have our first question. If you have a question for Sarah or a question for me, just drop it in the chat and we will take a look at it. Lisa asks, when you start, is it better to stay speaking on one topic and expand on that one topic, or switch it up in approaching different topics linked to what you believe in expressing to your viewers? I think that is a really good question, Lisa, and it requires a little bit more context, but I would recommend, it depends on what you define as a topic. If we're talking about a topic like self improvement, that's one topic, but within self improvement, there's hundreds of subtopics you could talk about. But then your one topic, your umbrella would be self improvement, for example. Or if it's marketing, that's also one topic, but with many different subtopics in there. So I would say if it's a bigger topic like marketing, like self improvement, that already allows you to touch upon very different elements and subtopics. That would be perfectly fine. I would recommend having an aspect of focus, an aspect of sticking to one topic, or at least even if it's not a topic, it could be one mission, for example, or one message you want to get out there, right? So one thing that keeps, like, that's the center of your publication or the center of what you write about, that is what I would recommend, because then people can decide, am I in for this topic, or am I in for this mission? Is this for me? And if the topics are radically different, someone cannot really easily decide, is this for me? What actually are you writing about? Should I subscribe to this publication? So, yes, definitely, I would recommend having an element of focus. But once again, this could also be that you have a mission, and that is the central thing keeping it all together.
Yeah. And also, I think from a personal perspective, I've been putting an intention of the day out just to try and stay consistent. So that I've tried to keep with just a theme and then give an explanation of why you've said something. So I know that you give the advice to put out 3 notes a day just to start. Just getting into the algorithm or the conversation of something. And I think that's been really helpful to have an intention or have a topic that's there, and then go back to it and then explain why you spoke about it, relating it to either your industry or something personal, or your publication article.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in today's live stream, for everyone who joined us later, we're talking all about how you can make Substack your home base on the internet. Because Sarah here is the founder of Intentional Living magazine, and basically, she decided to make Substack her home on the internet, kind of like we have it with Right Build Scale. It's our home base on the internet, simply because there's so many different features, and you can really design your publication the way you want to, right? You can be very focused on videos. You can have your podcast here on Substack. You can have long form articles. You can do live streams like we're doing now. Pretty much many of the aspects that you can take from other platforms, you can here have it all on one platform. So it can really be your central hub, your home on the internet. What do you feel like, Sarah, if you had to describe what makes your publication or Substack in particular feel like home to you and your home base, what would it be?
I think that it's got everything that you need in one place. So if you did want to do an interview like this, it's here, and then it will give you the shareable assets that you can take off the back of that. You then can email your subscribers with the articles that are going out there. It's giving some structure and some consistency, and not going or like not having to have all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzles. You've just got each room of your house that you can have everything in there, and I think it allows you to do more because everything's all in one place, and you can repurpose, and it can just one area complements the other area, and I truly believe it's sharing, so it's saving so much more time now than what it would before, and you can do more with it.
Absolutely, yeah. And you've been gaining quite a lot of traction on the platform since you started, and you started quite recently, but you've been able to grow to, I believe at this point, more than 242 subscribers I see on your profile right now. What
Yeah.
would you say what has been like a factor for you in helping you get this momentum on the platform? What do you think you're doing that leads to these results?
It's consistent notes. So, what's been great, I call it collective journaling now, because previously I would be walking Cooper, my dog, and something would pop into my head and I'd go, "Oh, that's great." And it would go into my notes on my phone. Whereas now I'm not putting it in my notes on my phone. I'm just putting it out there with no expectation, not looking at any numbers, not looking at subscriber numbers. And I think using these early stages just to plant those seeds of ideas going out there and just seeing what works. And so doing it, if I'm going to set an intention of the day today, that's what I'm going to do. If that helps somebody else and if that's of interest to somebody else, that's amazing. And I think that being able to schedule those notes as well, because I can be walking and have 50 ideas, and then but being able to prepare the note and then send it out at a later time is incredible. And the other part of it, now that I've been in a couple of months now, is actually realizing that those notes that have gone out in those early days are actually still being very popular now. And it feels like the note isn't just for that moment in time. It's not like your Instagram feed or your Facebook timeline. They stay there like a library and a catalog of the information that you're sharing. And it feels like, I don't know the technical elements of Substack, but it's like if somebody types in I don't intention, and somebody else writes it, it's like we're being match made with the right people talking about the right thing at the right time, regardless of the date that you sent it. And so that's really inspiring now, of like nothing's ever wasted. And that's the point of like the priority is being consistent and just keep going and putting it out there, and it feels like that's reaping the rewards now, and it's great to see.
Yeah, content has a longer shelf life than on other platforms, I think, where if we compare it to like an Instagram reel, for example, that might get a lot of views, but traction is gone very quickly and the views are very like fleeting. And your notes and your long form posts or podcasts we see with our podcast episodes, for example, that we published months ago, are still getting like downloads to this day, which is just incredible, right? Because what you put time and effort into creating still days, weeks, months later has an ROI for you, still brings in new people versus, okay, I'm this in this content hamster wheel, basically just creating over and over again. Now,
Exactly.
I would like to add as well, what I think you're doing really well is you're adding a lot of personality to your content. And I think when I go to your profile, and I've linked to Sarah's profile here in the chat for everyone to check out. Highly recommend subscribing to Sarah, her publication. But I really get a feeling of you and who you are, and that there's an individual behind it. And also because you do live streams, right? You've done a live stream with Ellen also from our accelerator community. But I think the fact that you show you builds a lot of trust. It makes people resonate with you more. It gives this personal feeling, which I think also the magazine has a very personal feeling actually to it, that makes people want to learn more from you and what you do.
Yeah. And then that means the world because for so long there's been a lacking in confidence of who I am as a
Mm,
founder and a business owner, and you look left and you look right and you see how everybody else is doing, and that was one of the conscious decisions I made coming to Substack is that I'm just going to be me, and I'm just going to be I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to share. I'm going to say that it's not perfect, but that's the best place to be, and just coming from a really authentic place of that I'm here to meet incredible people, and I want to collaborate, I want to partner, I want to read, I want to support, and so far it's given me all of that. It's been so rewarding to really meet genuinely supportive people, and it be from a space of that you can just be you and that's okay.
yeah, especially in this day and age of
Mm,
AI generated content, it's even more important to be you. And I'm not against AI at all. We use AI a lot in our process, but it's you then, if you do that, have to like really show yourself as a
mm,
human, as a real person, as who you are as an individual, because I think there is really a trust recession where we don't really know who someone is behind the words because it could be created with AI within seconds potentially. Um,
mhm,
so highlighting your personality is just a good thing to do. Does not mean you have to show every aspect of your life. Like I'm a very private person personally.
mm,
I choose to highlight certain parts and most things I don't.
mm.
Um, but definitely is something to add more to publications that I often review. Yeah.
Yeah, and also somebody Stephanie has said about that it's been 3 weeks and her notes are not getting any traction. I think that something from my perspective at the very beginning, neither were mine. I was just putting something out there and there was crickets. And even just the other day, a friend was saying I was going to go live on Substack, but there was only like 3 people there, and I'm like, the numbers right now don't matter. It's really adding to your library of just putting something out that you feel that could be of service to somebody else, or even that resonates with you right now. Because if you put something out there that is resonating for you personally, whether it's motivating you, whether it's an action taking thing, whatever it is, somebody will find you. Like that, it will never always be that way. And I think that it's just knowing that we're all going to have crickets at some stage. We don't come we start from zero, and for a while that's always going to be there. And I think that there's a story of my husband, like he's been wanting to know everything about what Substack's around about, and he's over on LinkedIn and he's like, well, what is it? And so I've been sharing and sharing the personal pictures of Cooper. We saw there was a picture of Cooper where he found a little turtle, and he was sniffing it. And I
Yeah.
did where I said, like, be curious about it. And he's like, oh, that's really great. And so he found some positivity stones when he was on a workout, and he took a picture. He's like, I'm going to do a Substack about this. And it was like the word on the stone. And then he did it from a management perspective of like to keep going or whatever it is. And I'm like, see, that's what happens. Like somebody can see what you're doing and it can inspire somebody else. So just do what the rock said and keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and really, Stephanie, to really add to this, it does take time, right? And if you've been doing notes for 3 weeks, know that that's completely okay if it's not getting any or much traction. It takes time, and all good things take time. And just for perspective, a decade ago when I built my first business, it took me a year and a half before I got any traction at all. Like it was literally a year and a half of crickets, silence, and learn and but just keep going learning, right? You want to be consistent, but also consistently learning. Because if you consistently do the same thing, you might not get the results you want. But just like stick with it, learn how the platform works, learn content creation, learn what resonates with people, and please keep going because it does take time, right? It's
Yeah.
not something that gives you instant or quick results. And 3 weeks might feel like a long time, but it could, like I said, like it took me 18 months a decade ago when I built my very first business. I'm happy I stuck with it because that's learned me so many lessons and helped me get where I am today. but just anything worthwhile takes time. Now, having said that, also to make it a bit more practical for you, Stephanie, with your notes, what I would highly recommend, study notes that do well, really study them. How are they formatted? What's their first sentence? Why did that note stood out to you, right? Like, and reverse engineer it and combine it with engaging a whole lot with other people's notes as well. If you want more traction on your notes, also like leave a lot of likes, comments, restacks, genuinely, of course, with other creators that you resonate with. Because every time you like one of their notes or you leave a comment, that's now they get a notification of it. It's visibility on your profile. They might now check out your account, engage with your notes, and restack it, and it becomes this cycle basically. So that's the practical side of things to focus on as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And also with something that I've been doing is with articles that have really resonated is that yes, support the article and put a comment on there. But in some cases, I've actually sent a personal message. So I've messaged them and not
Mm,
for any reason, but other than to say, I really resonated with this from what you said, and I'd really love to stay connected. And so you just feel the person feels seen, and then they want to see what you're doing as well. And I think that it can be reciprocal. And so I think, yeah, it's a really good way of like just doing things in different ways. And that's how we first connected, was through a message. So know that that's available to you as well, and it has a knock on effect of somebody checking out your notes and supporting you in that way.
absolutely, absolutely. Now I want to touch upon something we talked about on Tuesday's masterclass. We talked about how to become a Substack bestseller. And in the masterclass, I talked about how you want to make your paid tier basically a no brainer offer, right? You want to design it in a way where you're giving your paid subscribers like tangible perks, something that they, in the words of one of our paid subscribers, feel stupid saying no to. And I think you have something going on right now with your paid tier that is an offer that would be stupid to say no to. So maybe you can expand a little bit on what you currently have going on because it's a special 3-year birthday promo of the magazine. So,
It is. Yeah, so we've in the trainings that we have, it's saying about what can you do that it would be that no-brainer. And with the whole vision of, and in celebration of turning 3, I'm like, what can that be? And it was all and also moving to Substack because I'm really starting in those early days, and that was like to offer an 80% off an annual plan, which is like, yeah, it's normally $80 for the year and like $8 for the month. And so for that, I wanted to then include like all the digital copies of the magazine, and also then an online workshop that says about live what you love, which was an extension of my book, but it leads into the magazine and this intentional living and the whole lifestyle element of intention setting, but actually taking action on the things that you want to achieve. So I was like, I can include that as a workshop in there. And then also the private interviews with the contributors that we have. There's the whole like read it, love it, live it side of thing, is like bringing that to life in a podcast and live interview format. So it's like the behind the scenes of everything, which I felt like was a really good fit. And then I was talking to you about it, and I wanted to know the inner workings of what a good offer would be like that. So again, would love your feedback on that.
yeah, I think you got a no-brainer offer down, and I'm actually linking to your publication for everyone in the chat to go check it out. I believe if you click on the "Let's Celebrate" section, right, that takes people to a page where they can learn more about the special offer you have going on. And I mean, you get 3 copies of these amazing
Yeah.
magazines that I'm fortunate to have it here in my hands. They look amazing, and you get a course right on top of it as
Yeah.
well. Um,
Yeah.
at a crazy price right now. So anyone who's interested, who's on the live stream right now, go check it out. I would highly recommend it.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that, Jari. That's so kind.
of course, of course. If there's anyone in the chat with questions for Sarah or for me, just feel free to drop them. We'll probably stay on for about 10 more minutes, something along those lines. So if you have any question about Substack growth or monetizing your Substack, then feel free to just drop it in the chat and we'll take a look at it.
And then while
Well,
we're waiting for the
yeah.
question, I was also thinking about what you said in the trainings that we've done about and going back to the crickets at the very beginning and like breaking it up into stages like 0 to 3 months, 6 months to 9 months, and then to like see it as a 12-month learning exercise of like these first 3 months of just planting those seeds with the articles and the content and everything. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that if that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So the way I really see the initial stage of being on Substack, assuming you're completely new or pretty new, you want to treat those first minimum 30 days, but ideally like 30 to 90-day window as I'm building the foundation of something and actually I'm planting seeds. And when you have a garden, right? I have a garden. If you plant seeds, you cannot rush the process of those seeds coming into fruition to plants, or like it's just not, no way that you can actually rush that process. In fact, if you try to do it, you might mess it up. So see your initial 30 to 90 days on the platform, just like I am learning how the platform works. Creating content, I'm publishing notes, I'm publishing my first long form, I'm designing my publication, I'm building a bit of a network on the platform without really being distracted by the external results, whether they are there or the lack thereof. Because the thing you can control directly is your own input, right? How much you invest into learning the platform, publishing, connecting with others. That's something you can directly control. You cannot directly control the outcome. And in the early stages, if you focus too much on, do I have new subscribers already? How many likes do I have? How many comments do I have? Chances are you might be disappointed because again we're planting seeds here and it's, you cannot rush that process. But if you focus on the right inputs for long enough, then you will get the right outcomes eventually. For some people that might mean after a week they get a lot of traction on Substack. For some of them it's after 30 days. For others it's after 90 days, right? That time frame is always going to be difficult to predict, but focus as much as possible on your own input without, and I know it's easier said than done, right? Because of course you're looking at how many likes am I getting, how many comments, how many subscribers, of course, but absolutely don't let that discourage you if there is a lack thereof, because you're planting seeds. That's the way I really see it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to know that because it can stop you because if you don't get traction straight away, it's like, oh, I'm not going to bother doing this. But it's pushing through that and knowing that it's all building for everything else. And that was one of my biggest learnings in what we've done behind the scenes in the accelerator as well. So thank you for sharing that here as well.
I see Colleen says it could be good to go back to the basics once in a while and focus on planting seeds again.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing to do. And Todd says, I've been doing 5 notes every day, comment on 20 to 30 comments every day, and have now 127 free subscribers, $15 a month price, and paid resources are over the top with 100 resources for them added every week. It feels like a no brainer, but zero have switched. Any ideas? So, Todd, I would see it in the following way. If you have 127 free subscribers, then if you do like a 5% conversion on free to paid subscribers, that's already quite on the high end of things. So that would be 5 paid subscribers, for example. So I think initially the fact that you have a paid tier up and running and premium content, that's good. You definitely want to focus on two things. One, expanding your overall audience size, because the more people you have, the more people can potentially convert. I would look at how are you currently marketing it to them, because maybe to you it's very clear what the value is in it for them, but maybe to them it's not clear. So do you create a become a member page or premium content library? Do you clearly explain what they're going to get, and not just what they're going to get, but what will it actually do for them, right? What pain points will it solve for them? What outcomes will it help someone get? And that's something I would highly focus on alongside with researching your audience. Ask them questions, right? If you can literally DM some of your subscribers that have left comments, right? That's a sign of interest. Ask them, like, hey, I have this paid tier available. Does it seem interesting to you? If they say no, okay, why not? What would be interesting to you? So that way you're developing a no brainer offer with your audience at the same time.
I
I
love
see we have
that.
question from Tina as well. Good to have you here, Tina, on the live stream. What is the best way to determine how to price a paid tier? Pricing is always an interesting thing because in certain niches, certain topics, pricing higher is easier to justify. For example, if you teach a skill that will directly help someone or their business generate more, you can easily charge more because it's easier justified. Someone will look at it like, okay, if I upgrade and I will learn how to invest better, how to market better, how to build my business, then it's easier to justify a higher price for it. If it's more soft skills, right? I know a lot of publications are more around soft skills. The important thing is that you clearly also describe what those soft skills will do for people once they learn it so that they understand the value in it. Then another thing I would recommend is if you are starting out, you don't necessarily want to price too low, but also definitely not too high. You want to be somewhere where, for example, you charge monthly, and these are completely ballpark numbers, $10 a month and maybe around 80 to 100 per year, something along those lines. This also gives you a bit of breathing room to run a promo where if you give 50% off on the annual plan only, not on a monthly plan, on the annual plan only, then it's a significant discount, but still that one purchase would be $50, which still would add up. So that's also how you can play with pricing strategy with that monthly and annual tier difference, basically.
Yeah, I love that. And Laura actually says about it not being a one answer fits all, but when should you turn on your paid subscriptions?
Yeah, well, maybe Sarah, first let's start with you. When did you turn on your paid subscriptions?
Well, straight away with the magazine, that was like, and that was the shock because I turned it on and people subscribed, and I was like, ah. And then with my personal Substack, where I'm sharing all of the behind the scenes side of everything, I haven't turned that paid subscription on. So it's
Mhm.
funny because I've done both. But there's an element of it now with what I'm sharing and what I want to be doing. Maybe that does get turned on because I do have a pledge that's waiting that somebody pledged to pay, and I'm like, oh, I don't know whether I should turn that on or not. I suppose is it relative to what you're doing and what you're sharing and what you feel comfortable with, or do you just turn it on and allow
Yeah.
somebody to pay you if they want to pay you?
I think the big difference for you, Sarah, is that you have turned it on for at least one of your publications and you have paid subscribers there. So I recommend almost always turn it on from day one, simply because it's a mechanism for people to support you. You don't want to say from day one, okay, when you upgrade, you'll get this, this, and this. Because now, if you have one
Oh,
paid subscriber,
Jari,
you
oh, I thought you went off then for a second. I was like, "Where have you gone?"
no, am I still here? Can you still hear me loud
I
and
can,
clear?
yeah. Yes,
Good,
yes.
good. Yeah, otherwise you would have run the live stream by yourself, Sarah. um, I cannot see Sarah anymore. I'm not sure. Maybe people in the chat can say if you can still hear and see me, and if Sarah has frozen for you, or if it's an issue on my end. Just drop it in the chat so I am aware. Um, so I will basically answer Laura her question. Okay, Tina says that Sarah is frozen. Okay, so Sarah has dropped off the live stream. Laura, let me answer your question. So I would recommend turning it on from day one, simply so it's a mechanism for people to support you, and you don't want to promise any paid content per se, because then you have to deliver on that. What you do want to say is like, I have paid turned on so that it's a mechanism to support me. If you value my free work, then this is a way to support me and buy me a coffee, so to say. We see that a lot of members in our accelerator get their first paid subscribers exactly this way. I'm just inviting Sarah to the live again, just to see if she can jump back on. But we see that a lot of our accelerator members get their first paid subscriber because they do this. They have paid turned on from day one, and then free subscribers who might love your work, might love what you do, Hi, Sarah. They already have a way to support you. And then later, once you learn more about your audience and you're growing your audience, then you can actually launch a paid tier with a lot of premium content and really structure it around an offer. That's what I would recommend. Good to have you back, Sarah.
Thank you for letting me come back. It just all froze, and it looked like I was live myself, so I was talking away, but nobody could hear.
Yeah, no, I for a second I was like, "Am I frozen? Or what's going on?" But I saw people in the chat saying like, "Okay, no, they can still hear me and see me." So all good. We're back now.
Good.
Um, I see we have 147 people today on the live stream. So thank you all for being on today's live. Sarah, I want to ask you one last question before we end today's live stream. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone who is on Substack right now, but maybe struggling to get traction, or someone who's even on the sidelines of building on Substack?
I would say take a leap of faith and just challenge yourself to connect with somebody and send a message or comment or explore a partnership or collaboration, because I think it's a big realization of not, knowing that you don't have to do this alone. So take the leap of faith of supporting you, have support from other people, and putting yourself out there.
I totally agree. I'm going to link one more time to the substackcoaching.com application if you want to apply to the Substack Accelerator that Sarah's part of. That's our hybrid coaching program where we help you grow your Substack publication and monetize your Substack publication. I want to answer one last question in the chat from Ercilia. Can the paid subscription be in the format of a membership with monthly workshops plus other resources? Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be one of those things that I call like actually in the masterclass Tuesday, I literally described it. You don't want to see your paid Substack like a paid newsletter. You want to see it like a membership. So this is exactly if you do monthly workshops, potentially have your members live on the workshop and you repurpose the replay. That is absolutely what turns your paid tier into like a product or membership that significantly increases the perceived value. So highly recommend that. Now, I also want to share the link to Sarah, her profile once again for
Thank
everyone
you.
on today's live stream. Definitely recommend check out Sarah, her publications, and hit subscribe and go check out the Intentional Living magazine offer that's running right now, the 3-year celebration, because then you get a digital copy of 3 of these editions and a course, right, Sarah?
Yep, that's it. And then there's the workshop of the Live What You Love workshop on the back of that as well, with some private interviews. So I'm just grateful for you sharing it, and also for you creating this space. I think I speak on behalf of everybody that's on the live today, that what the three of you are doing together with this is just so important that we get it right from the beginning, and you've just created such a great space. So on behalf of everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that, Sarah. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for tuning in to today's live stream. More than 150 people tuning in. And thank you, Sarah, for jumping on, sharing your insights here with us today. And then we see you all on the next one. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.